حي على الفلاح.
So there are tools by which the statement is emphasized over and over and over and over again. The human being is in loss, or verily the human being or man is at loss, mankind is in doom, etc., etc. Don't even begin to cover the rage and the terror that is embedded in the language of this ayah, that Allah Azza wa Jal depicts in the words, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Let's talk a little bit about the word khusr. In the original session I told you there's a difference between the word khusr that's used here, then there's the word khusran that occurs in the Quran also, and then there's the word khasara. And the difference between them, just as a quick recap, khusran is the worst kind of loss. So for example, Allah says, خَسِرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخُسْرَانِ. He lost the dunya and the akhirah. That is the ultimate loss. That's the worst kind of loss. That's not for everyone, but that's for the worst kind of person. Then khusran is used. Khasar is used when you are already in trouble and you add to your trouble. So for example, وَاتَّبَعُوا مَنْ لَمْ يَزِدْهُ مَالُهُ وَوَلَدُهُ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. It's used with ziyada usually. It didn't increase them in anything but loss. Meaning they were already in trouble, it added to their trouble. It's used in that sense. But khusr is the base form, meaning generally all human beings are in a state of tremendous loss. So khasira, the way it's used in Arabic, is also used in the meaning of suffering, in addition to loss. Loss is the common translation. Khasira fi bay'ihi also means he suffered loss in his business. It also means to lose your capital altogether. We made reference to this before also. You put your money in a business. Not only does it not make money, but you lose all your investment money also. This is called khusr. If you lost, just the profits, you broke even, this is not called khusr. If you lost the money you put in of your own, all of it is gone too. The essential capital, what's called in Arabic, ra'sul mal. If that is gone, then that's called khusr. It's also, by the way, used when you are conned. Like if you say khasirat tijaratuhu, it's one of the meanings of that is his business went under, but it also means his business was destroyed by means of some kind of trickery. Somebody conned him, somebody deceived him, and that made his business go down. So there's this allusion to deception also in the word khusr. Human beings are deceiving themselves. They're in a kind of deception, and that's leading them to a loss. The antonym, the opposite of khasirat tijaratuhu is rabihat tijaratuhu. His business became profitable. That he not only put his money in, he got more out of it too. So Allah Azza wa Jal uses this word. This is a little bit about the word khusran. Let's talk a little bit about the word al-insan in the ayah, just as we talked about it linguistically before, but just what the ulama have said. Al-insanu lil-jins, anna an-nasa fi khusran min tijaratihim. First, al-insan lil-jins. That this word insan is referring to all human beings. So when Allah says the human being is no doubt in deep trouble, in deep loss, there is no exception. Because the jins in Arabic means the entire category. No one should think when they read the ayah, not me, somebody else. I can think of my neighbor, I can think of these other kuffar that are in trouble. That's not the idea when you use the word jins. It is a universal statement. Then the second, we read this in Zamakhshari also, أَنَّ النَّاسَ فِي خُسْرَانٍ مِنْ تِجَارَتِهِمْ إِلَّا الصَّالِحِينَ وَحْدَهُمْ. That people are in tremendous loss because of the trades they make. In other words, they put their money and their effort and their time into things that they think will bring them profit, but they bring them nothing but loss. إِلَّا الصَّالِحِينَ, except for the righteous, وَحْدَهُمْ, them alone. May Allah make us from them. لِأَنَّهُمُ اشْتَرَاوُا الْآخِرَةَ بِالدُّنْيَا. Because those are the people who, which trade did they do? They purchased the akhirah in exchange for giving up the pleasures of dunya. That's the transaction that the salihin made. فَرَبِحُوا وَسَعِدُوا. That then they were profitable and they were happy. وَمَنْ عَدَاهُمْ تَجَرُّوا خِلَافَ تِجَارَتِهِمْ. And then whoever was an enemy against them, who stood against this transaction of theirs, فَوَقَعُوا فِي الْخَسَارَ وَالشَّقَاوَةِ. Then they remained in loss and in despair. Then we read something from Ash-Shawkani, وَالْمَعْنَى أَنَّ كُلَّ إِنسَانٍ فِي الْمَتَاجِرِ وَالْمَسَاعِ. Beautiful words. He says that this means that every human being is in an act of selling and trading and making efforts constantly. Meaning they're competing in making more sales than the other, and they're competing in getting ahead from the other. This is what they're lost in. And if you remember, this is very similar to what we talked about in At-Takathur. His tafsir of this word is very similar to what we already read in At-Takathur. وَصَرَفَ الْأَعْمَارِ فِي أَعْمَالِ الدُّنْيَا. And he exhausts his ages By a'mar, he's referring to his age, meaning youth is one age, maturity is one age, middle age is one age, then old age and senility. He exhausts all of his life opportunities in the works of dunya, lafi nuqs, and all of them that have been exhausted. وَصَرْفُ أَعْمَارٍ فِي أَعْمَالِ الدُّنْيَا لَفِي nuqs. They are all in loss. وَضَلَالٍ, and in waste. عَنِ الْحَقِّ حَتَّى يَمُوتْ, and he's misled from the truth until he dies, and then he wakes up. وَقِيلَ الْمُرَادْ بِالْإِنسَانِ الْكَافِرِ. We talked about this before, but it's coming up directly from the Mufassirun now. It has also been said that the insan in this surah refers to the kafir. That the meaning of al-insan, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, some have understood this as إِنَّ الْكَافِرَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. وَقِيلَ جَمَاعَةٌ مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ. It's also been said it's a group from the kuffar. وَهُمُ الْوَلِيدْ بن الْمُغِيرَةِ وَالْعَاصِ بن وائل وَالْأَسْوَدْ بن عبد المطلب بن أسد. Others say that no, this is a group from the kuffar specifically in the life of the Prophet, like Walid ibn Mughira, Aas ibn Wa'il, Aswad bin Abdul Muttalib. These are the kinds of individuals, la'anahumullah, that are being referred to in this surah. But even Ash-Shawkani rahimahullah says, but the first meaning is preferred among these who say they are kuffar. The ones who generally refer to the kuffar is the preferred meaning. But then even that has a criticism which we'll get to. وَقَالَ الْأَخْفَشْ فِي خُسْرٍ فِي هَلَكَ. Al-Akhfash rahimahullah says, when Allah says fi khusr, he is in loss, what he means by that is he is in destruction. Halaka. Halak actually literally means violent death. There's maut, that's death. But halak is violent death, like a death in a car accident or a vicious kind of death. So he's setting himself up for this vicious end. وَقَالَ الْفَرَّاء عُقُوبَةً. And Farra says that this is a terrible ending. Uquba means a consequence, an ending that is scary for others to watch. In other words, one's end, that when other people see this, I don't want to end up like that. And you use his uquba as an example among yourselves. You say, you remember what happened to him? You don't want to go down that road, that kind of thing. So this is uquba. Then Ibn Zayd rahimahullah, he says, lafi shar. Lafi khusr here implies lafi shar, that he is immersed in evil. Because the ultimate loss of the human being is his engrossment in evil deeds. We read something from Ash-Shaqiqi rahimahullah. لفظ الإنسان وإن كان منفردا فإن ألفه جعلته للجنس. The word al-insan, even though it's singular, it has been used for all humanity, generally speaking. Then we come to a very, very important comment that is made by Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and it's so powerful that's even quoted by Mufti Muhammad Shafi' in his Urdu tafsir, Ma'arif al-Quran. The translation of which is also available in English. It's not the best English, so if you can read Urdu, read the Urdu tafsir, Ma'arif al-Quran. But those of you who don't have access to that language, at least something of the English is available. What is this comment that is so beautiful that I'm referring to by Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah? He says that humanity is kept from accepting the truth of this deen by two obstacles. There are two obstacles that keep human beings from saving themselves. Now, what is the path to save yourself? There are two things. Those are, in the Quran we find الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا what's after what? عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. This is what we find all over the Quran, right? They believe and they act. They believe and they act. Even though we haven't talked in detail what iman is Allah referring to, what righteous deed is Allah referring to. We're just using them as terms, as tags and phrases right now. But generally, this is the path to salvation. This is the path to save yourself and be successful in the akhirah. The first step, iman. The second step, action. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah argues there are two obstacles before the people that keep them from iman and action. What are those two obstacles? He calls them shubuhat and shahawat. Shubuhat and shahawat. What does that mean? Shubuhat means doubts. Shahawat means temptations, desires. So he says the two things that keep people from accepting the truth are doubts and temptations. What does he mean by that? You see, when you ask someone to accept this deen, you're asking them to give up a lot of things. You're asking them really to give up a lot of things. I had a friend in college, big guy, really loved football, and you used to talk about Islam all the time. And I'd say, man, why don't you just accept Islam? I can't give up that pork, man. I just can't give it up. That's some good stuff. What's his obstacle? He's not in doubt. His obstacle is not doubt. He's convinced this is good. His obstacle is his temptation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you enjoyed this video, please do share it with friends and family. If you want to see more videos from this series, click on the box at the top. If you want to see other videos, click on the box at the bottom. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks.